All right. Hello. This is Through Therapist Eyes. We are doing episode 336, which is which month? Because they're blending together, I guess, right now. We're doing November reviewing, right?
Almost end of the year.
Almost end of the year in the middle of the holidays. So, welcome. We hope that your holiday season is going well. You're having a fun and safe time with family, friends, and all of the things that now Christmas is full bore. So, at least here in the States, we're running towards Christmas, which is, oh my goodness, only 3 weeks away. Is that right? One, two, three. I'm looking at my
Yeah.
calendar, Kyle. We have Kyle hanging out with us, Mr. King himself, for the month in review. How are you, sir?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for having me back.
I love doing this live. We've
Me
switched
too.
with the virtual deal, and so the month in review, we decided to actually be present. It's not better than that.
Yeah, it's good.
That's actually a little foreshadowing, believe it or not. Neil comes out behind the curtain. And how are you, sir?
I'm good. Doing good.
That's all you
I'm
got?
with you. I'm ready for Christmas. We're going to be recharging the last 2 weeks where I work, so it's less client meetings, more production, and actually like taking a break. So it's kind of nice.
What is a break? Do we get that? I'm actually taking a vacation out of town this year for Christmas.
Nice.
Again.
Where are we going?
We are going to Phoenix, Arizona.
Nice.
And if you're a longtime listener of the show, I talked about something called slot canyoning, which I am super excited about, which I'll leave that. Maybe we'll get to that in the review, which we're going to do of the year. So we got a little bit of a different schedule. Usually, if you're finding us for the first time now, we do month in reviews the last month of the last week of the month. And we didn't do that because of Thanksgiving, so we're doing today the review of November. And then Neil, I think you and I kind of talked about a little scheduling where we're going to do sort of a full get together with like everybody next week.
Yes, that's the plan.
Give us the idea of what we're doing.
So we're going to go ahead and do our year in review next week, which is kind of fun because we're going to have obviously us. Then you're going to have Casey. If you've been watching the last few weeks, Casey's been on.
Casey's back.
Casey's back. And then we're actually going to do a fun thing where we're going to have both Adam and Kyle on for a little bit. You don't have to be there for the whole show. I mean, if you want to, you can. But the goal is we're going to have Adam and Kyle on there and get everyone together. So it's going to be a big brouhaha next week. And then I think we talked about after next week's year in review, we're going to take the time off through the basically end of this year, get back on first week in January, right?
January will be back to normal in 2026. So this is, as we said, Through Therapist Eyes, where normally we have a panel of therapists. Today we have Neil and Kyle.
Yeah.
Not
not a therapist.
Not therapy people, but they're very knowledgeable about everything we talked about, and they become more knowledgeable. Neil, you might as well be a therapist at this point, right?
I could try.
You know, sleep in a Holiday Inn.
I don't think I'm nice enough to be a therapist.
That's probably true. All right, let me get through this. This is not to deliver therapy services in any way. We are hitting you on December the 4th, which is Thursday. And hey, I got a couple books out. I think they'd be great for presents at the end of the year. Through a Therapist's Eyes, Re-Understanding Your Emotions and Becoming Your Best Self. And then, you wouldn't believe, Through a Therapist's Eyes yet again, Re-Understanding Your Marriage and Becoming Your Best as a Spouse. Great gifts to get. Really, they're cool books, I think. They're very helpful, little small chapters on real therapy moments. Subscribe, click, do the bell. John Pope is not here, but he will be personally offended if we don't get 5 stars. That's your job. We try to give you some content, entertain you a little bit. Contact at throughtherapistseyes.com. Listen, I love to say this because it really is true, and it's what we try to do. That rhymes, right? This is the human emotional experience which we endeavor to figure out together. At the end of the year, I also want to highlight reidferguson.com, ReidFerguson.com. He is a musician who did that cool little intro music for us. Have you heard that?
Yeah,
The little dingy thing,
I
the
did.
moving in thing. We don't get that on YouTube though, Neil. That sucks.
I could try to start throwing that into the audio with Riverside and stuff. I can try to throw that as an intro thing if you want.
That would be cool.
Well, maybe we'll try it. Maybe we'll try the first one in January.
All right. Look, we got all kind of new things going on. Okay, all of that ado. So what do we do here? We have a lot to cover, actually, and these shows in November were cool, honestly, if you ask me. They're kind of linked up a little bit with my newest favorite topic that I think is a very serious topic for all of us all around humanity, possibly the most important in at least a mental health capacity, which leads to a lot of things that we experience, right? The information age. So we'll definitely talk about that. But before we do, we have this tradition, as Neil said. We're gonna have a little bit of a down the rabbit hole battle. I'm excited about that, to be honest with you, Kyle. You're gonna come.
I gotta think of something good now.
You do. You got.
I
I
do.
mean, he's the OG, man.
Yeah.
He's the OG, and he can come up with some pretty quirky things that are mental health related. Hopefully, right? Sometimes I had to wonder, Neil. So we start the show in the month in review with a little fun thing called Down the Rabbit Hole with Kyle King. What you
Yeah.
got, brother?
Well, I got something interesting. I guess because I was on vacation, I saw dolphins while I was on vacation. I was like, let me check.
Did you swim?
I did not
said
swim.
dolphins?
Not this time. Not.
I always wanted to do that.
I have done it before. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
Did they make you hold fish though?
No.
No,
We
good.
got to ride and hold on to them and stuff. So it's kind of cool.
That would be fun.
But here's what I found interesting. It's like, do you know dolphins have names for each other?
It's not.
Yeah. So when they're born, dolphins communicate, clicks, signals,
Tweaks.
all these kinds of noises, right? But they have a unique sound for each dolphin, and that is, in quotes, their name.
No
And
kidding.
that's how they call each other. So much so, and the mental aspect of the dolphin is just amazing to see, because they can hold on to that memory of that sound for that name for as much as 20 years.
Oh wow!
And it's
in
so
like
it's kind
their
of cool.
tribe or
They're
their
like a little group, their
dolphin
clique or
group?
whatever, right? Because they do have, different ones that, stay shallow waters, some that say, deeper waters. I think I read there's like 32 different species of dolphins, and each one has their own dialect. So it's very cool to understand that. So the Pacific Ocean bottlenose dolphin versus the Atlantic Ocean bottlenose dolphin, two different dialects.
Wow.
Very cool to see.
So they go to like Indonesian dolphins, Chinese dolphins.
guess
Do we have
so,
British
right?
dolphins? What do we got?
But it all has to do, center around their environment. Why the different dialects go, whether it's murky water or clear water or something.
There's got to be a lot of species of dolphins, right?
It's like 30. I think I read about 32. Something.
wow.
Yeah, so it's neat to see. But they're so smart though. They're one of the mammals that can actually recognize themselves in mirrors. I did read about that, and they'll look at themselves in a way that they're looking at spots they can't typically see, for whatever reason. So it's neat to read about them a little bit. So
Love
I was
that.
reading deep about that. I was like, that's pretty interesting. Did not know any of that before I started reading about it.
So did this bring a question to your mind, or informative, or like what did it make you wonder about?
Well, yeah, because you always hear about dolphins and how they, interact with humans, how they can protect humans, and one of the things that I also found out as well is like they can recognize humans, especially certain ones, and there's been stories about
Like
them.
specific people?
Yeah, so there's been stories about them coming up to the same boat or the same group of divers or whatever. If it's trainers, they have different trainers. In SeaWorld, they have different trainers that they approve of or like or dislike, or these are the kinds of things. So it's amazing. I'm thinking, how it's amazing how much similar kind of like their intellect is to how we think about people. It's like there's people we like, people we want to hang out with. That's what they want to do. They want to interact. They want to understand what's new. Why do they come? They're inquisitive.
That is fascinating. Neil, he's good at this one. I gotta say that's pretty good.
Yes, I wonder. You think about, have they found that out with like chimps or chimpanzees? The whole naming thing, is this really unique to dolphins? Because you think about, there's a lot of weird social structure similar to us and dolphins,
Mhm.
and then you look at the chimps and the primates. They're supposed to be closer to us, so it's kind of
Right.
like, do they? That'd be a question I would have. Do primates, have they noticed names for those? And then the other question is, do the parent dolphins use the middle name when the younger dolphins get in trouble? That's the other question, right?
That is a good question.
So
Well, on the primate thing, the primates, they're the ones that also look in mirrors. I did read about that. They didn't read about that in the names though.
yeah, so that's a really, really cool thing, that when you look at the different species, how we kind of, as humans, we get all the different pieces, but it's neat to see those small unique things that happen with different animals, especially other mammals, and how close they are but not the same. It's really cool thing
Yeah.
to see. So
Because to your point, like calling the middle name, what I read is like, here's this big group of dolphins.
mhm.
They'll make this little sound. That's that specific name. It's like, okay, now that dolphin's got to come wherever, right? So maybe they are using that middle name.
Colorado State University scientists have called elephants by their names, and the elephants called back. Wild African elephants address each other with names like calls, a rare ability among non human animals, according to a new study published in Nature, Ecology, and Evolution. So that's elephants maybe
Yeah,
do the same similar thing. And I was
maybe.
wondering that. And then pigs are pretty smart too, right?
Oh yeah, pigs are smart.
Pigs, elephants, dolphins. I wonder if there's any more. I'm not gonna try to research it now. But
And elephants are interesting because of the emotions, right? You see the
Mhm.
thing where they mourn when a baby
Yep.
dies or someone in the herd died. Like it's kind of crazy. Once again, these are things we see in humans that now we see in
Right.
other mammals, and it's just such a connection kind of thing when you
Right.
look
When
at
they
it.
had that earthquake, several months back, all the adult elephants surrounded the young ones
Mm-hmm.
to protect
there's
it.
a protection
Yeah.
thing, yeah, for sure. But you know where my brain went as you're going through this is fascinating. Human behavior.
Mhm.
I'm a junkie for live competition shows like Survivor
Right.
and Big
Yep.
Brother and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, we
Right?
are too.
You love that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Well, it's funny to me that they always want to develop a name for the group.
Hmm.
That is like a psychological thing. We talk about tribalism tonight, actually, a little bit. We will. And so they always have to have some cool name, like
Right.
we're the hitchhikers, or we're the stabbing gorillas or something, or some of the cool names you can think of.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
blanking.
But they stay in that group,
Yep.
and even when they merge, they stay in that group.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
amazing to watch it.
The dynamics are pretty cool. Yeah, social. I mean, listen, we are pack animals. We are pack creatures,
Mhm.
and we don't want to be alone. And I don't think animals are too far from
No.
the same as you're talking about mammals, Neil. So, all right, pretty cool. All right, you got anything else, or we moving on?
No, I think that's
That's
good for
pretty
now.
neat.
Right now, I got to think of a good one for next week though.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun competition.
Yeah.
Make an impossible question for the panel to have to answer. I would say. Okay, we had some cool shows. Episode 334, politics, community, and mental health. We got political.
I heard. I did listen to most of it. Yes, I did.
That's awesome. That was the throwback to my old co-host Craig. Man, we would get political on the show a little bit, so I did a throwback to that. But for the reason of episode 334 is technology humans' greatest emotional challenge. Conversation with Lisa Danahay. Dramatic pause. Like that is, I think, a huge conversation. I kind of want to be selfish and stay there on that show tonight. But then we also got episode 336, intellectual versus emotional level of functioning. So yeah, we got the three questions for the politics show. How does political influence your emotional state day to day? Tension, hope, fear, disconnection? Question mark, right? To what makes political messages so emotionally activating? I would say that it definitely is nowadays, right?
It is.
And what is the most powerful political tool? I guess you see from the notes and you listen to the show. Let's start there. We used to. So, first of all, this is not going to be like, hey, I'm on the right and I'm on the left, and this is what I think should happen with this policy. And hey, we just got raided in Charlotte by the ICE people. They came to town. They call it Charlotte's Web. Why did we have to use a cool book for the name of ICE? I didn't know that. I was like, come on, we could do better than that, right, Neil? I know you got a comment there. I know you do.
It's a good name. I don't know what to tell you. You can't really do much. I mean, what else you can do with Charlotte?
I mean, you can do all kinds of things with Charlotte. Come on, like the Charlotte Sting. That would be perfect
Yeah,
for a
mhm.
sting.
There you go.
That just came. That was that
There you
quick.
go.
You got to have one more, another. I mean, web is kind of perfect, though, I guess, if you're trying to round people up or whatever they're doing. Anyway, this is not the political show for your persuasion or your whatever. It's really from an angle of like what happens in our community, what is going on with mental health in this. And so, what do you think, guys? Are there other tools? Maybe you already know. I'm sure you probably ought to know what I thought of and what we talked about as the the most powerful tool, but what tools, if you will, maybe I'll frame it this way, used to be used more and now are more prevalent?
Oh gosh, comes to mind most right now is social media. All the social media is the most powerful tool right now because people, I know a lot of young folks that that's all they do is get their news from social media.
Yep.
They
Did
know.
you did you see Hillary Clinton complain about that? That was like 2 or 3 days ago.
No, what?
She was talking about how a lot of there's a certain movement amongst the young people. I'm not going to bring it up, but she says that the hardest part right now is a lot of people get their news from 2-minute TikToks.
Yep.
And it's all embellishment. It's not always accurate. It's all manipulate. Like there's all of these things that come into it. So when you try to rationalize with a lot of younger people, you talk to them about things that are going on. It's really hard to talk to them
It
because
is.
all of the information is all. It's probably 50% accurate, if that, and it's all in short snippets. There's not
Mhm.
really meat behind it. They don't have the history like, oh, here's why this is going on and here's the history behind it. They just know whatever's in that 2 minute short. And so it's
Right.
really hard. And that, like I said, I thought it was interesting that Hillary Clinton brought that up because she's like, we can't have, when she goes talk, she can't actually have conversations with people about it because all their information is skewed and wrong. And it's,
You don't have a
Right.
basic platform of common understanding?
yeah.
And we know that, like things like AI, the
Oh, it's gonna get worse.
what
I know
AI
that's
has
your
done,
wheelhouse, man.
and how it manipulates like the elections of in other countries. It's being used by nation states in order to manipulate elections and stuff like that. So it's hard to figure out what's real, what's fake, and that's a big concern, for me.
I don't know what's going to come from this, but I want to pose the question: How what tools were used to be used? Not just the microphones, obviously,
Right.
and people would use bullhorns back in the day, before we had advanced technology stuff. But if you think about what emotions and what tools, particularly from the emotional realm, do you think used to really appeal?
Newspapers, obviously, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
but
Ra-
that
right,
definitely
right,
brings
radio,
right.
radio would be a
radio.
big one because radio was you'd get the voices, you get
Hmm.
the emotion tied to that.
TV, obviously.
I think you probably used to have a lot more group get-togethers. We'd have more rallies or those things where you'd have to go the politicians would have to go place and actually like talk to the people versus having things aired on TV,
Mhm.
right? That's because that's big, right? When we talk about human interactions, you get that group of people, right? And they
Yeah.
either they swell up into anger or excitement or whatever it is. You always have that risk, but the fact that they're together, that community changes the whole dynamic of everything.
And the fact that the information's come at them so fast,
Mm,
I mean, it's snap of a finger nowadays.
indeed. I guess I'm just wondering, if I'm naive to think across the world, really, too, not just here, but when you think of political movements like Joan of the Arc or um, different groups of people that would angle for power and whatnot, what would they appeal to? Was there more of an appeal to an ideal? Hey, that rhymes also. I'm full of it tonight. Don't look at me like that. You should just see on YouTube what Neil just did to me.
That's why it's on you, not me.
Oh, you didn't have the camera on you. Just let people wonder. No, really, was there an ideals, or what kind of emotional appeals were there, do you think?
I would to say there have to be some type of ideal, something that appeals to that person that you're trying to convince to
Vote for me.
engage. Yeah, exactly. Right. Hey, look, I'm going to do this. We're not going to pay taxes, or we're not going to have businesses open on Sunday, or whatever the case may be. But there's something that drives that initiative to want them to, hey, come join me.
That's interesting. Yeah, Carl, because as I'm listening to you, I think of my ex who was always turned off by politics. She's like, I don't care about. She's like, she'd be in the background and I'd be watching my stuff, kind of just like this person comes on, well, I have a plan. She's like, I have a plan. My plan is
Right.
a plan, and she comes in, well, I have a plan, I'm like, okay, classic, right? She would get so sick and tired of hearing like your plan to do X. But that's different than what it is now, isn't it?
Hmm.
I mean, what is your plan almost doesn't matter as much anymore, it feels like. Because the number one emotional tool that is used, what do y'all think? We talked about it extensively on the show. Fear.
Yeah.
I want to scare you into voting for me because I'm not as scary. The other side is terrifying.
It's the negative politics ads versus the good politics ads. It's not about how good I am and showing the things that I can do or things I want to do. It's how bad they are. So vote for me because I'm not as bad as that guy, right? It's really changed the whole dynamic, right? It's no longer a positive metric. It's always negative. It's just I noticed that probably. I mean, you guys have been more in the politics longer than I have just because you're older, but I mean, I feel like the last 20 years, it seems like it's gotten worse. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Extensively.
I don't know if it was just, during the Obama because that was a big turning point with those ones, but I don't know if Clinton and Bush before, if there really was as much
Clinton
negative.
wasn't at all. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of your thing when you were talking, Kyle. I was so impressed that Bill Clinton came on MTV. I was like, oh man, you're talking to me. And I don't remember a lick of fear about that.
No.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
No, I remember that. Yeah. No, there wasn't.
Reagan,
Yep.
we were younger. I don't know if you remember Reagan at all.
I know of him now. I've looked back and learned stuff, but when I was younger, no,
He was a country bumpkin kind of fella, comedian, movie guy that came in talking about some things that he wanted to do. And I don't remember having a lick of fear there either, right?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't bashing the other side at all. He's just saying, I'm going to do this. This is what we need to do. And this is how we're going to fix things. That's what I remember.
I remember a guy, Howard Dean. He got jammed because of the Howard Dean scream. Do you remember?
I don't remember that.
You remember? Oh man, he was like, "We're going to Texas, and we're going to Nevada, and we're going to Arizona, and New York, and New Hampshire," and he just kept on naming states. And he's like, and he started to get this weird, creepy, long scream. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you need to switch over for a moment and type in Howard Dean scream, and you'll hear his voice just like explode as he's doing this. Done. He was done right there. There was no recovering from that, because it was like a weird feeling people got. And now when you think of fear, it's like, that's it. It is perpetrated, it is TikToked, it is highlighted, it is emphasized. And I don't think that's just a United States thing. I mean, Germany, well, look at Israel. I mean, my goodness, they're going through all kinds of stuff right now. They have a lot of reasons to be fearful, but, what are we doing to better our lives? That just doesn't have.
No, it's not that mentality right now. It's like, to your point, it's that fear factor. And this is what I also see is like, a lot of people don't educate themselves. When they hear something, they don't go out and research it. It's like, can they do this? Can they or are they just trusting?
It's amazing how in an age of information we have access to everything we could want to look for, and we never use it.
Right.
You take that 2-minute snippet, that's your gospel, and then you run with it, right? And then, of course, we talked about before, the algorithms. When you watch that 2-minute snippet, guess what? You get another 2-minute snippet of that stuff. You don't see opposing sides. You never get to those pieces. But
I don't really understand that. Is that true? And the reason why I ask you that is because I just don't engage that way. I don't. So, but algorithms literally like feed you only what you clicked on there, and
it's gonna direct you. So if you look at your YouTube and you look at what they suggest, or if you go through YouTube Shorts, you'll start seeing themes where you'll start seeing the same type of videos over and over again. That's why when I look at my wife's phone on hers versus mine, my videos I'm suggested are a lot different than hers.
Oh yeah.
So they definitely, and there was something even I was talking to. Maybe it was your group or the other group. I don't have two groups now. They talked about with TikTok. They actually had a point where they would look at your camera and watch your dilations. So they would actually early on, they would see not that you're watching it, but how it affected you. That was something that was done early on in that part, because TikTok is a technology company. It's a psychology company. They basically looked at it from the psychology. How do we make this as addictive as possible and engaging as possible to get people to continue to use the app?
And so we get further siloed, further echo chambered, further stuck in just one simple mentality.
Exactly. And to me, because the balance is, of course, these are all businesses. They want engagement. They want traction. So they're going to keep feeding the people that want it, as opposed to saying, oh, hey, this guy just watched a whole bunch of left-wing videos. Maybe we should show him an opposing view to that. They're not going to do that. They're just going to keep feeding left-wing or right-wing or whatever it is, right? My wife gets all these things about health stuff because she started watching that, and horses. She follows one lady who has a bunch of horses. But so her feed is a bunch of health stuff
Yep.
and yoga, and I'm like, so every other day I get a conversation. Did you know this is not healthy for you? I said, but last week you said that was good. Like, so then we get these discussions because she's one of those that runs, and it's like, but once
Tomatoes
again,
cause cancer, Neil.
probably.
Yep.
So that's the thing you have to watch out for. Like I said, from a political standpoint, it's the same thing. All the politicians, all the political parties, all those things are basically not what am I going to do to help society? It's about getting elected, which means how do I make you more fearful of the other person? It's not about me qualifying myself. It's about me disqualifying the other person. And so all of these 2-minute shorts are this person did this back in 1990, or they do a weird scream and then that's posted everywhere, right? It's that
He
stuff.
was done.
Oh, he was. I mean, that was actually really awkward.
It was
That
very
scream,
awkward. It was
the
very
noise
strange.
was feral. It was weird.
Feral. Oh my gosh, it was feral. That's a good description of that. Let's dive into the mental health of this for a moment, because if you really think about what happens in your emotional system when fear really gets triggered. All right, and we talked a lot about this, so maybe I'll try to combine a little bit with the last one, 337, where we talked
336.
about 336, intellectual versus emotional level of functioning, because Casey did an excellent job in that show of talking a lot about how our brain, right? If you see on the YouTube, I ball up my fist and my forearm is the stem, the spine, and it connects right up into the brain, and the frontal cortex is in the frontal forehead, right? That's where we think. That's where we reason. That's Kyle, where he said we get skepticism when we get information and whatnot. Well, in the inner part of your brain, right where my thumb is, right on top of the brain stem in your brain, is your limbic system. Everyone has heard of amygdala, fight or flight. That's where all of your emotion center is. And so what happens when fear really gets triggered is that guy becomes in charge. And we learned through our conversation in 336 where the systems balance each other out. Your intellectual thinking, your emotional feeling, we want to have that in balance. But when one gets activated, and I tell you what, when you hear nowadays, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, oh my gosh, the fear mongering, your limbic system literally starts. I mean, I have people getting angry, visibly, viscerally angry when they're watching the State of the Union address, at least in the United States. And this part gets out of balance and goes offline, and you're just now in a fear state. And your body interprets that exactly like I'm being attacked. Oh my gosh, I was hiking at the Y. I had my earbuds in, and I'm just bebopping along listening about the Pittsburgh Steelers because that's what I like to listen to, right? And out of the corner of my eye, I saw something moving, and I turned my head, and this creature was rapidly coming at me, and I just screamed out, like, "Hey!" And it was a dog. It was a dog. And the dude was like, "Oh, no, Fluffy, come here, Fluffy." It was literally like a dog looking at it. It might have been Peaches. I think it was Peaches. Here, Peaches, no. And it terrified me in that moment. I had no idea what I was listening
You did
to.
your own Howard Dean scream.
No, it was a little bit lower. It was definitely not feral, brother. It was like, I'm going to war. I'm gonna have to kill this thing. It's a rabid thing that's coming for me because there's nobody on the trail. My point is, my thinking went offline, and my system, before I even knew what happened, I let out a very loud, low warning yell, just by automatic.
Fight or flight.
I was ready to kill it.
Yeah,
I had to kill it. I think I even put my hands up like, whoa, we're going to have to kill this thing. You can't think when you're listening to a speech and you're in a fear state. You just can't think. And other things begin to happen where, you need safety. Well, how do you get safety, Neil, when you're thinking that you're being attacked or you're being overrun, you're being overwhelmed, right? You need other people. Well, what do we call other people? Well, this is my group. This is my tribe. Now, this is literally how you get into all of these tribalisms and this echo chambers, and only thing that you hear is what we can connect with, and you're off to the races.
Do you think that's one of the dangerous parts about having like the 3-minute shorts is you really can watch it, and if you change your thing or it changes that, you don't actually get the part 2 process and move past it because you only get 3 minutes. it fires, you're purely emotional, and before you can even start calming down and rationalizing, it moves to the next video that then just gets you worked back up. So when you think about like your situation, right? When you got scared, it probably took you a few minutes to figure out what's going on, right? So imagine watching shorts and seeing a short that's 1 or 2 minutes, get you all worked up, right? And then before you can even think about what you even saw, it goes to another one that then adds to it. And then you get worked back up. Your brain with all the social media, you never get to the point where you actually can think about what you're seeing. You never contemplate it. Your frontal cortex or whatever you did with your brain, the puppet. We need to get you a little puppet.
Oh, that would be cool.
But it never actually is able to get back online. Once it starts connecting, it's like another short.
You have to purposely try to pull that brain back together again in therapy with deep breathing, with de-escalating. We have fancy terms with it, regulating your emotions that became dysregulated. I mean, I could talk psychology talk, but basically you're right. You get freaked out, you get another freaked out, and you get another freaked out. Before you know it, you're just freaked out.
You become a hermit that doesn't eat anything because you're getting pollutants, and you lock yourself in your house because everyone's against you.
And Kyle, I'm going to kill them all.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what happened. He's right. He's 100% right. So,
and I'd said that not meaning what I said, but we use those words across the world, not just in the States. I keep emphasizing that. I'm going to kill this person. And people do it.
I
mean, Kirk, what was his name? Terrible event in the United States. Literally just shot. We've had political violence escalating, because people are literally operational on this stuff. National Guardsmen being shot most recently in the States. And sorry, around the world, I don't have a lot of these events, but I know at train stations, subways, and bus stations around the world, we have bombings and things that are just happening all over the place. Now, it's not entirely new in the history of humanity. I do always like to put that out, but it sure seems more intense.
It is.
Sure seems more dramatic, and
somebody's ideals differ, and that's what takes place.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the biggest issue with today's society is we don't know how to talk to each other. We don't know how to have different opinions. I think the other part is society is people are no longer worried about living their life. Our lives are a lot more lax than they used to be. And so with that, they're dwelling on things they shouldn't be dwelling on. You think about 50 years ago or 60 years ago, your job was just go to work, take care of your family, and then you just kind of just enjoy your life. Now there's all this stuff now that people don't want to work because it's really hard, or they do this and they get into social media and they get hooked, and then you don't live your life like you used to. I read a book about psychology at one point, and they talked as society gets more cush, that's usually where more violence and murders and things happen, because devil's hands, right? They get idle. They start going down these rabbit holes. They start doing these pieces. So instead of
hands is the devil's work.
Instead of living their life and being like, well, how do I do better for myself? And or think about farmers. They get up at 4:00 in the morning. They farm all day. They're done with their stuff. They just go home and drink their milk, and they're tired.
I don't have time for the State of the Union tonight, honey. Tell me what happened. I'm going to bed.
So, and that's I think part of the issues with everything. Technology makes everything easier. People's lives are getting easier, so they sit there thinking. They go into their echo chambers. They don't know how to discuss things with other people, and then it gets to the point where I don't agree with you. You've been dehumanized because everything's social media, and you're my enemy. You're not my friend. I'm just going to take you out because I don't agree with you, and I don't know how to handle that type of conflict.
Healthy debates have disappeared.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever somebody thinks, by gosh, if you don't believe them, well, you're my enemy.
You're just trying to convince them otherwise.
Right. Okay, well, let's get some data behind this. Let's talk about this. Let's have an open conversation about it. And that's a lot of that's missing now. People don't know how to have those.
There's also two other elements I want to bring into this that are from a mental health and emotional standpoint. One, if you think about my experience with Peaches, I didn't give you a story recounting that of, oh, this little cute dog rolled up into the No, I kind of said this terrifying beast rolled up out of the corner of my eye and was running directly at me. I just catastrophized this experience. Right. The truth is, it was a cute little dog. I think it was a golden doodle, to be honest with you. But I just saw a big brown blurb, and I'm thinking about immediately, Neil, as you said, it took me a couple minutes to calm down because I started thinking about, like, whoa, what if that was a rabid animal? I mean, that would have been crazy. I would have had to break its neck or done something crazy. Like, I'm bringing myself back down, and then I got to listen to the Steelers again, and I calmed down, and I was okay. But I catastrophize that
Right.
experience, right? When you're fearful about something and you recall it, particularly if, like you say, Neil, you've had like hit after hit with the, freaking adrenaline dump that you get from being angry, you remember it even worse than it was.
And then if you talk to people who, instead of helping you rationalize it, add to it, they say, "Oh, I heard this too," and then I heard this, and then that once again, the echo chambers becomes very, very damaging because
Spirals out of
if you
control.
don't have a debate, being like,
It
well,
escalates.
hang on, what do you mean you heard this or you saw that? Like explain that to me, and then, oh, well, I saw this, I saw it from this perspective. Like, the idea of getting different perspectives is, once again, same thing with the healthy debates. We don't want different people don't want different perspectives. They just want to be agreed with.
And here's the other element from a mental health perspective. When you're in this terrible state of mind, are you going to trust Kyle King talking about what he heard at that speech the other day? I have to
Right.
trust you?
Right. Or am I going to trust somebody on social media?
No, particularly if they're saying something that I didn't know, or something that was new, or something that made me feel silly, or
Right.
shameful, or something like that. I mean, it's like, parenting. Think about conversations
Oh, yeah.
with parenting.
That's
I feel like the worst parent ever after I read some of this stuff. I'm about to write a book on it, but I suck. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm overwhelmed with this. Oh God, I'm just gonna. Here's another thing. Shut down. I don't want to talk to my family about this. I don't want to talk to my friend. You know how many times I've heard people, to your point, Kyle, you need to be able to talk. People refuse to do that anymore because
Oh, yeah.
of the fear.
It is. It's very big fear. I see it all the time. Yeah, especially I see it at Y. I see it in work, and people just don't understand how to communicate unless it's via text.
So where did we land? Let's just get texted. Yeah, we had a conversation about that before the mics came on. So where did we land, Neil? What do you remember about what we tried to figure through and give people some ideas about? And I kind of think we landed on some of the standard things.
I think we landed on the same idea where, community is really important. You don't need to be in your echo chambers. I think you need to think about things before you act, and like I said, everything out there, you just need to take 2 minutes of what I'm watching. One, is it real? That's a big problem now with AI. We talk about that.
God, it's gonna get worse.
But two, really start thinking about what they're talking about and who they're talking about. Like I said, we've become dehumanized. Everyone's dehumanized from everyone else. If you don't agree with me, you think I'm a horrible person because I think you're a horrible person, right? So to me, if you see these things, you look at it, find a good community that challenge you. Find a community that will let you talk and you'll let them talk as well. I think that's a big part that we came, I think, with this. If I remember correctly, that was a big part of this. Find a community that allows you to go into healthy debates. And that was a big challenge we put out there. Go talk to someone about with a different view and actually have a conversation.
Yes.
You're making me remember that we did have a specific challenge to do that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many people did that. The other thing, of course, limit. It used to be, like you say, the evening news was like on and then local, and then the other evening news for the other half hour, you got snippets of what happened, and then of course you can go read your newspapers and articles and things and get more information if you wanted to. But it was like, and you're done.
Well,
and then you can digest
that goes
it.
back to your point, right? You only watch the news at night. You've said this before on previous shows. Even when you work, you grab your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting 24/7 news.
Right.
You don't get that separation, which is really hard. So separate, isolate from that part of it. Put down your phone, disconnect. Huge thing to do. People need to do.
Yep.
Crazy that we feel so isolated, but we have so much connection ability. And you just said disconnect.
Yeah.
But I totally agree.
As we've gotten more connected, we've got more disconnected.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
How is that possible?
It is.
But this is the way it's affecting community. This is the way it's affecting mental health. I'm trying to think of some chapters that I had in my book, chapter 27. We experience most what we focus on the most is a phrase that came up in a therapy experience. And that absolutely is, I think, absolutely true. We experience most what we focus on. So if you sit there and focus on something, you're going to feel it. And we're focusing on things that make us feel fearful and distrustful and overwhelmed and anxious and angry.
Yeah.
Is the result because we can't process all that. So we're just pissed off. And then in the marriage book, actually, we tend to hold onto grudges and resentments, but not facts. Think about it. The way you feel when you talk to your spouse, when things get heated, you kind of lose the facts or you perceive memory that isn't necessarily what the other person experiences. And I will say this very clearly, both people in that experience have their perceptions and need to be respected and honored, even though they're different. And so we can get to a little bit of a logical process.
Are you saying my wife's not always right?
Her horses and health records are clear, Neil. You need to listen. You need to talk. Yes. Especially the horses thing. That's fascinating. All right, closing thoughts, because we want to get on to the show that I was most excited about. Episode 334 is Technology, Humanity's Greatest Emotional Challenge. And we had a conversation with Lisa Danahay. And she was awesome. The three questions, I guess I didn't say, is there any closing thoughts, guys? Sorry.
Yeah.
I think we're good. Let's
think
move
we're
on.
good.
We gotta move on.
Yeah, we do. How has technology changed your emotional rhythm, your patience, attention, empathy? Secondly, are humans emotionally evolving fast enough to handle the speed of digital change? Kyle's already shaking his
Nope.
head. No, he says. Third, what does genuine human connection mean in a world mediated by screens and algorithms? And we've talked a little bit about it tonight, but Kyle, Neil has heard me talk about this a little bit lately, and I mean, I'm so fascinated to hear your professional read on this and all, because this is your wheelhouse of technology and fraud, and this world that is your profession. In the way people are coming at you, the way people are manipulating you, the way we're engaging. And Lisa was really cool to hear her thoughts. I'm going to really refer you to the show on that. I'm not going to speak for her. She was way too intelligent for me to try to do that, Kyle.
Oh, I listened to it.
Yeah.
I listened to it.
She's brilliant. I was impressed with the way she went about this. But I'll just ask you, Kyle, is this the greatest challenge of humanity's ever had?
I don't know about the greatest, but it's definitely a big challenge, because you think of
Let me struggle for a moment. What would you think would be greater? Potentially.
Yeah, probably nuclear war,
Wars,
I'm guessing.
economic failures. I mean, what really has challenged humanity?
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. Disease.
Right.
Wars, famine, disease.
Well, let's flip the question. What would happen if you take away all the digital connection today? Ooh.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, and here's what I've learned in my short time. I worked for a construction company one time, and I was working in their IT department. We connected all the job sites, and the ISP cut a line. And so none of the job sites could communicate, which means they couldn't access the main data repository. They couldn't do their calculations. And the young people, like planners,
Lost.
they could not do their job. The old timers, OGs, they pulled out their rulers, slide rules, and kept on going. And just started working with pencil and paper. And, you think about, because I grew up, doing a lot of math classes, we had to show our work back in the day. You remember that?
Oh, I do.
And now
Hated it.
we don't have to do that. Everything's done on a calculator. So if you take away the digital connection, where would society be?
I see your point. You're kind of going to the idea that we would be lost, we'd become dumber, computers are doing stuff for us,
possibly.
this type of thing. You know what came to my mind loudly and strongly as I pondered that as an excellent question is we would be a lot calmer.
Potentially, yeah. And we would probably be a lot more educated.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we are going to have to go back to the pencil and the paper. We are going to have to have to think how to do things.
They did that study where they had people who used ChatGPT to do a lot of stuff for them, and the brain processing just dropped dramatically. They even had a thing where they had ChatGPT provide prompts, and you had people who used it versus just writing stories, which was like they were more creative with they were writing stories. But then the next exercise where they had to create a prompt, they couldn't even think enough to create a prompt to then write it. So we're already seeing that as technology replaces our thought capacity, we are basically not able to handle it. Just like if you don't work out, you're going to lift less or you're going to be tired faster, right? So as technology comes in and we don't use our brain power, and you have the old OGs, they did it for years. It's ingrained. It's going to take a lot of time for them to lose that stuff, right? But this young generation who's never learned doesn't do that. Everything's built around the idea of I need to learn how to do technology versus learn how to learn. It's a lot different. It's a
Yeah, so
Now, I will say this: in the field of psychology, we we do know that things do change and things are different. I mean, there was a great fears in similar fashion about TV, and that changed the way that we operate and we adjust. You know, we do fluctuate, Neil. So the industrial revolution brought on cars and mechanics and electricity and mass power, and we adjusted. You know, brains will get good at what we focus on. I'll go back to chapter shadow. On we experience most what we focus on the most, right, or something like that. And the thing that really concerns me, and why, Kyle, I feel like this is the greatest challenge humanity's ever asked, is because the rapid changing pace of it.
every couple weeks.
I think it's also the greatest because it's also world reaching.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
about everything that
Yeah.
happened, it was all regional.
Mhm.
I joke about Genghis Khan, but that was over there in that area, in the Mongolian area, right? Whatever that led that way. Even Alexander the Great and the Roman Empire, it was that area, right? We come over here and now we have our stuff on our side.
Yeah.
Technology, it's global.
Yeah.
There is not one part of this world that doesn't have some sort of technology outside of remote islands or some.
Yeah, there might be some remaining normal
But once,
humans.
Right.
once again, when you look at it, it probably is the greatest step because it is the most reaching threat when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, famines hit the whole world, world wars hit the whole world, but even then, I mean, the rapid pace of destruction for World War One was a slow crawl. You know, humans really,
Well, that was mostly in Europe, right?
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
we
true.
didn't
We
have
never-
we
never
didn't have
had
a
it
war
here.
here,
to your point, right?
and not even in Russia, right? There's all those things, right? Everything is very regionalized. So technology, because
Dang.
everyone has technology, that's what makes it probably the greatest step because the exposure to pretty much 95% of the world versus 25 or 40% or whatever it is, right? There's nothing that it doesn't touch.
Kyle, I think you can speak to that really well, just in fraud protection and
Oh yeah.
computer-based processing. I mean, to Neil's point, there's just no limits to that around the earth, is there?
I don't know. I mean, and you look at it. I mean, everybody uses it these days. It's not like there's a little subset that never uses technology. Every single person touches it, and it does get a little bit more scary when you think of how people can be manipulated by the use of technology, the phishing campaigns, the AI attack, that kind of stuff, the deep fakes. They're all trying to gain something, and it's amazing to you think about a lot of these things are being auto generated these days. So it's not like you have to be a specialized person to do some things now. When I was going through when I was coming up through technology, I had to learn it. I had to have my hands on the keyboard. I had to do that. You don't necessarily have to write code these days. You can have ChatGPT do it for you.
Yeah.
And now you can use that code and manipulate it in your form to go out and do some type of attack. It's crazy to think about. It's just like not a lot of people have to think when they're using technology these days.
I
It's
just
not
was
not as much as what they used to.
you're gonna love this. I think I'm gonna use it. I had to think maybe. I think I could do it a safer way, but I'm laughing because I just got an amazing example of that literally today. So I had like 5 minutes in my day, and I was like, I had a day today. I was stressed out. It was a long day. So I got one of those chronic texts you get. You know, hey, you have your house for sale. We
Yeah.
would love to give you this price or whatever. So I texted back. My wife left me. I'm so sad, and she's living there. Yeah, I want to sell it. I want to sell it. I'll sell it for anything or something like that. I'm so mad. Oh, that's not true. You know, I got a call
Oh, yeah.
2 minutes later. Somebody saying you agreed to a certain price point. We're here to talk to us. Give us a call back. Kyle, they would have took me
Yeah. they
in an
would've.
emotional state, in a sad space, which I'm
Mhm.
not. But I mean, that's attack.
Well, let's think about the love aspect. Let's think about love aspect.
Romance, bro.
Romance. You think about all these young kids that got isolated during COVID that no longer know how to have social conversations with the opposite sex,
Right.
right? These are the kinds of things I think about. But then when they do find somebody that can connect with them, then that's whether they're typically not meeting them in person, but they're getting a text or a phone call or some other type of communication.
Also a dopamine hit.
Right. Yeah.
Zip, zip, zip.
Yep. And now look at the opposite effect. It's like, I'm not fear, but I'm, falling for this person, or I'm willing to do stuff for this person. And yeah, they're taking.
It's all based on heavy emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love, lust, fear, anger, right? It's both
Yeah.
sides of it.
Love, lust, fear, anger. My big thing, like I said, is the rapid pace of all of this. And I see, one of the things I really wanted to build into that conversation is that our emotional bandwidth has increased.
Mm.
Hasn't, I said has, didn't I? It has not increased. Our emotional bandwidth is the same for all these types of things that we're talking about. But the stimulus intensity has dramatically increased. And I don't think we've seen it yet.
Yeah.
And that mismatch is at the root of the emotional dysregulation of what we feel, especially with powerful things like you just said, Neil. Love, lust, hate, what did you say?
Fear, anger.
Fear, anger,
Yeah. And it exists in the palm of your hands.
Now, all day.
Every day.
I mean, how do we cope with that? How do we slow ourselves down? Because if we slow down, we even have names for this stuff. I'm going to be missing out. FOMO thing, right?
Yeah.
I got to keep up with the pace.
I've purposely disconnected from 2 games I used to play.
I did too.
I've stopped going through YouTube Shorts. I literally had to disconnect, and my company that I've been working with has recently implemented some higher level changes. I don't get my work emails on my phone anymore because I don't want their software on it. So just the fact that I disconnected those pieces,
love that.
It's like, wow, this is kind of. I see by the other, I'm like, I kind of missed that game, but I realized my life was like so entrenched in that. Like, what time is it? Okay, daily resets. Okay, I got to get this done. Hope there's new missions. And so you don't realize it. But now I've been doing LinkedIn scrolling lately, so I got to stop that. I got to get back to reading in the morning. But that's a little bit different. But it's the same idea, right? You have to be purposeful.
Yep.
To disconnect.
Yep.
You have to be okay with missing out on something because honestly, to me, what I'm missing out on is not that important.
I was able to get Neil Star Wars Heroes as my game, and I got this Emperor before I quit. So I'm so happy that I did.
I had one champion that I didn't get yet on my game. I'm like, do I want to go back and try to get that one? But
I'm in the same exact boat. Lord Vader did not get got by me, but I am okay with it because I instantly don't have to worry about the daily reports. I don't have to worry about the attacks that my clan is relying on me for. I have good equipment. I have good things that I've built up, and I wonder if they're upset, but you know what? It's okay.
I had to tell my buddies on Discord that I'm leaving my game for 100 days just to let them know that I said, if you kick me, that's fine. I don't care. And that's the part, right? You kind of build, there's a weird connection relationship, but it's not really the same. It's not the same as me talking to my kids about the game because we all played it at one point, right?
Yeah.
Because it's different when you can actually sit there and talk about, oh, look at this champ I pulled or this or that. So it's nice, but it's not the same as human connection. It's not the same as being there.
I loved talking about Clash of Clans with my brother-in-law. He was playing for a little while, but he got intense with it. It was like, golly, man, really? Like,
oh yeah,
it's intense.
It is.
You have to win. You have to move faster. You have to get more.
And that's why I like trading card games. Because in trading card games, I don't like to play them online. I like to play them in person. Yeah. Because you get that interaction, you get that fun, you get that thing. And I've told my kids, if I ever find you being that rage quitter, you're banned from everything. Don't be that guy, right? Don't regulate yourself.
I think we all do. We all just got to take a step away. Put the phone down, go do whatever. I mean, we used to make our daughter when she was a teenager leave her phone downstairs. You don't need it in your bedroom. You don't need it. But I did the same thing. I'm on the computer all day. When I sit down, I want to just hang out with my wife. Let's watch some TV.
You know what I'm getting into now? Jigsaw puzzles, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a whole closet full.
Do you?
Oh, I
Oh,
have.
give me a couple.
You want some?
I do.
I'll talk to Alicia. We'll get you a few. How challenging do you want?
Dude,
them?
I'm doing these 1,000-piece puzzles that are freaking difficult. I'll be a while before I get to
Do,
this
do, you,
next one.
do, you- do you want a photo mosaic one that's 1,000-piece puzzle?
Oh man. You know what I actually thought, Neil? I need to do one with just a 500-piece puzzle. But let's get back into this because I think this is the greatest challenge for humanity has faced yet. And we see it even in this conversation. I would ask you to think about how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
When you were talking, Kyle, what would happen if we disconnected all digital outlets to ourselves? And I felt calmer.
I mean, when I go on a cruise, guess what? I don't have my phone attached to me.
Love that.
I do too. It stays in safe, and I go off about my business. I don't have to have it. I don't need it.
And you meet new people.
Yes, meet a lot of people. Have fun.
Conversations, learn.
Yeah, we have
Talk
fun again.
politics on the
Right?
boat. Talk politics on the boat.
Probably not, but
Maybe not.
Well, and then on top of that, one thing that Lisa talked about was getting up and moving, right? That idea, that physical movement. So instead of you sitting there staring at your phone or on the computer, you're up doing something. You're going for a walk. You're going shopping. You're interacting with people on your crew. Like I said, you didn't stay in your if you had your teenage kid with you, they would want to sit in the room just on their phone in the bed. I'm like, but you miss out on all the experiences. You're not doing stuff. You're not interacting. You're not moving, right? Lisa was big on.
She was big. Yeah.
She wants to get you to do yoga live, right? That was her big emphasis.
I know.
But that was a big thing to start because movement is what we don't do when we're in technology, right?
And it's physically necessary.
it is
100%. The idea that they're taking recess out of elementary school in a lot of places. No wonder your test scores are dropping. No wonder you're having issues with kids. They're not getting a physical outlet to reset themselves. It's horrible the fact that they don't do that anymore.
Even when I'm just on a phone call, I cannot just sit at my desk.
I need a standing desk. I got to swap. I got to swap mine now. I loved standing desks.
Oh, I walk. I got a path. I walk as I talk. But
Like,
that's me.
You have like worn out carpet.
Pretty much.
I think I brought this up in the show. It's just I want you to be aware. You listening to the show, I want you to be aware of the intricacies in the daily function that you engage with that technology is now driving. I think I used the example of this dear friend in Chapel Hill that I had. She was so funny. She would drive on the road and she'd get frustrated with traffic. Not quite road rage, but getting there, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the South here in the United States, we call it gigging. You stick your middle finger up. Well, she would put her hands underneath the dashboard and she'd be like, boom, 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 just getting her anger out at this guy who cut her off or whatever and stuff. Well, we do that now, but we do that, we have a term for it, right? We call it like keyboard warriors, right? You type out all these things that you want to say, you type out all these things that you want to do, but the problem is people don't miss your gestures. You literally say this to somebody who committed a crime, and that somebody's mother is looking and reading. So you said this guy is a complete jerk and a mean person and we should hang him. And you just said that to this poor mother who was grieving and weeping and terrified about the sanctity and security of her son.
But we get a lot more bolder behind the keyboard than we do in person.
Horrible.
And I've seen that a lot. People won't say that in person.
No, they wouldn't.
Once again,
get
it's
bold.
it's that dehumanization.
Yep.
It's that thing where I'm not really with that person because once again, just like your little person, of course, my wife, she'll put her hands up and say, "I hope you hear this," but that's a whole other thing. But that's the thing, right? Because we've disconnected, it's okay for us to say those things because we're not really dealing with it. I guarantee 99% of the people that are big talk on the web won't say crap in front of someone else because. I think they're emotionally charged and they're just getting it out. I mean, I know my wife at one point had made the mistake of making a Facebook post about something she was emotionally charged about.
Oh man,
that opened up a can of worms, right? So you don't have that
people
time
are coming for you,
right? And you don't have that time to think about it because it's right there. You can emotionally vomit it, right? And then the other part to it is, if you actually see the person, you start saying something to them about it, you're going to see that reaction. You're going to see them get sad. You're going to see them get angry. You're going to realize, what am I doing as I'm saying this to this person? And then you realize, oh shoot, I've gone too far. Right.
And people hide behind one word on some of these things. Anonymous.
Oh, yep.
Oh yeah.
An anonymous post. Ghost. There's a big statement that we made and talked about in this episode where Our brains are literally biologically wired to connect. We have chemicals released in our brain, Neil, when I'm looking at your eyes and I see your face and your facial expressions. My body reacts with adrenaline dropping or oxytocin releasing. Adrenaline gets me going up and charged because you've said something that activated my anger, or you said something very kind and appreciative, and I've developed hormone releases that connect me with you. But our tools are built nothing but for
Right.
stimulation. So our brains are wired for connection, and our tools are geared towards stimulation. And when you get chronically stimulated that way, you can't connect.
Mm-mm.
What do you think would happen if a lot of these digital platforms put a 5-minute delay on a post?
Mm.
You literally, if you go to post something, it says, "Okay, come back in 5 minutes, reread it, now you can post it."
See, I do
That
that.
would be amazing.
That
See,
would
yeah.
be a huge change.
That would be
because
amazing.
if someone post it and then they go to post it and then they get a thing or an email saying, "Hey, here's your post, reread it, go here to confirm it." I don't know. I wonder what that would change if you actually gave people that time to process it, and you basically, instead of letting them post and be like send and upload.
But people would still, just because they're the nasty behind
Oh, yeah.
keyboards, they would say things they wouldn't say
Yeah,
otherwise.
but those are the same people who will talk to you in front of your face too. Some of those people that won't care, right? That's that 1 or 5% that says, "I'm gonna say what I want no matter who you are." But for
think
most
about
people,
that statement, Neil. You're right, 1 to 5%. Now we're 95% that way.
Mhm.
That is the way that technology has changed our interactions and our connecting, and we're not wired for it.
No.
Well, like biologically, we have had a millennia to gear ourselves to the way that we react, and we have had 20 years to adjust to the way that we operate now. And how quickly is it going to change moving forward?
Well,
Just dramatically. And I don't even think we've seen anything yet. As rapid as it's been, and the causes that it has created to concern, has just exponentially increased in dramatic. So, yeah, we're winding down, and I didn't leave time for the little episode 336 or whatever.
well, I think we already touched on it a little
We
bit.
did a little bit,
We
and this is
did.
too important. I mean, this is too important.
In the digital age, it's just amazing. It's amazing what's out there, and it just as we've already talked about in the last episode, it just fuel. It can fuel that fire for whatever reason or cause that you have, or emotion. It just can fuel it.
And think about this. I'm glad this popped back in my head because I didn't get to stay it. Our brains are wired for connection, but our tools are built for stimulation.
Mhm.
Who gets paid? Who gets money? And a lot of money? Influencers.
Mhm.
The people that are the most stimulating. The people that have the brashest things to say. The people that activate your emotions the most. Now, they used to be an art form. We call it comedians or politicians. They would really get into our minds and our hearts and develop a relationship with the community. We have a new AD over at WVU Sports, right? And I was so amazed that he is going to every county in our state to get to know the people, to get to know the culture, to get to know what the community is like, the richness of the. I mean, I'm a West Virginia guy, so I loved all that.
Well,
And I was so happy to hear that because he's connecting. Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
I
Sorry.
was gonna make a joke about.
Oh,
At
you're
least,
gonna fuck me up,
at least
man.
he wants to visit like 5 families, so it's good. Sorry.
Man, that was better than any teeth joke that I've heard. But think about who gets paid on these things, and it's big money.
Right.
People that can trigger the most stimulation, and it disconnects.
Well,
So
that's what started with news. 40 years ago, went from
Yeah.
actually news information to what's the biggest story to get people to tune in and watch it, right?
hot take.
Right.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse, right?
Gotcha moment.
And the interesting thing is, like, what you can say what you want about Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beast learned the system. He learned the emotional
Who's
side
Mr.
of.
Beast.
You don't know who Mr. Beast is?
I don't think I do.
Do you know who Mr. Beast is?
Mr. Beast.
He's probably by far the most
This
famous.
is Neil's like stimulated podcast that he listens to.
Well, no, he's a YouTuber, but
Okay.
he basically like started when he was like a teenager, and he basically learned everything that triggered people, from the thumbnails to the content to how it was produced. And he took that and he basically has, I don't even know how, like, billions of subscribers. every video he would make, and he'd make money off of it, he would use that to make another bigger video and then another bigger video. And he's by far, he lives in North Carolina actually, which is interesting.
Really?
But he learned from watching how YouTube algorithms were based on the interactions and the way people are to how to build a better video, how to do another one, how to do another one. I mean, he's by far like, it's amazing what he's built on his own just from learning the systems.
And what's his content? Is he fear mongering? Is he political?
His contests are it was positive. He'll do a thing where he'll like go up to people and be like, "Here's, if you guess whatever numbers, I'll give you $10,000." Or he'll go to streamers. That was his early stuff, right? And then he did contests. Last person to leave the room gets $250,000. So he does contests and game shows and stuff like that. But it's just stuff that he's built over time with his friends, and it's actually more positive than negative. He's actually a really interesting guy. I'm just surprised you guys haven't heard of Mr. Beast.
I have not at all.
You'll have to look him up and see, because
No.
he's very, very smart. He's very he's a very smart guy with the way he did it. But he learned the human nature and the psychology and what caused people to click. His best business move was he's taken all of his channel and he's created like a different channel in different languages, and he's actually paying people to retranslate his videos. And so he's making, the amount of money he makes off of this is amazing. But yeah, smart man, but he understood the psychology and how to use technology to get people connected with these pieces. And yeah, it's, once again, he's positive compared to other people when you look at what he did.
Well, maybe that's a good way to begin winding us down. Is I don't mean to convey that technology is bad by any means. I love technology. This is a fantastic time to live. We are seeing amazing things going on, and I do have faith in humanity. I have faith in the goodness of what we want to do, the love that we have for one another. It gets buried and lost right now because we don't know how to handle what's coming at us so fast. But humans generally are really good people. We want to love each other and support each other, and you feel good when you help somebody, and that's not going away. That's not going to die. We are way too geared towards connection emotionally. And the younger generation, I feel like we crash on them a lot, Kyle. They don't know how to talk to each other. They don't know how to date. But you know what? They've been living this for a long time, and people that are 25 and younger, they're throwing this stuff more to the side. They still very much get their news 100% from all the social media, but they're not. They're wanting to actually connect with people. They're wanting to actually like be in person. They're wanting to act. They don't want Snapchats, and those were kids stuff. They feel like, and so I think that we'll adjust. I think that maybe, and I'll prime you guys to think where were the takeaways. Feel free to look at the notes and prepare your brain. But like, what do you really want in your life? And the big question I would challenge you, the listener, in your car or in your home, like, how can you slow yourself down? What ultimately can you do? Because the technology is great. It's the speed that it's coming at you that is the concern. So how can you slow yourself down so that you can begin to connect more with your children, your wife, your husband, your family, your neighbor? Be a good neighbor. Like, just ponder that question. You're going to have to come up with another one. Maybe you go back, Kyle, to what would happen if digital disconnection happened. That is an excellent question. You hit me with that. My brain's going to be on that for a little while. How can you slow down? What kind of thoughts, where did we land, the two of you have, if any?
Well, I always go back. There's a common theme every time I come here, is that we still have to maintain that connection with other people. We cannot, go through this world by ourselves, no matter what it is. Back to the politics. Have that healthy conversation. Have that open discussion. We talk about technology. It's that connection. You're getting out of. Put this thing down that's in the palm of your hands, get out from behind the desk, go out and talk to people. Whatever that looks like. You go out on a walk down the trail, do that. Get out and move.
80% of the stuff that we agree on,
Yeah,
that,
I
right?
know. Well, yeah.
But it's the
There's a
loud
lot.
20% of the scary stuff we pay attention to. Sheesh.
But no, it continues to be a resonating thing. It's just we have to have that people connection to make it through. If we rely totally on technology or what we see or from the social media, we're not mentally capable of handling it.
Being alone sucks, doesn't it?
It does.
It sucks. You have summary thoughts, Neil?
I think going back to connections, the one thing I was talking to a buddy of mine about is human nature is designed to be producers, and technology has made us a bunch of consumers. And so part of the
Ooh.
thing to add into this whole equation is like you need to go produce. You need to go create something. And if you're creating something with someone, that's even better, right?
Mhm.
So that's something to think about. Just don't just bring in information and just hold it on your own. Produce other stuff for other people, right? Whether that's a conversation, whether that's art, writing, exercising to work with people, like whatever it is, just you need to be producing. And I think Lisa, it's really about that physical activity. It's really doing something. It's getting outside of your comfort zone. It's doing those things. So that's the other part that my buddy mentioned. Like that makes a lot of sense. If you're just consuming, just like a drug addict or an alcoholic, you just sit there and wallow. But when you go out and you produce something that you feel proud of, or that you put a lot behind, it's a lot different than you're getting a lot different effect than if you just suck it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, writing the books that I wrote was just kind of amazing to think like I like legit did that. Like that still blows me away. Like I do not feel like an author. Like that doesn't feel like but boy, when you dig a pond I love that. Don't be just a consumer. We get back to being a producer. Slow down so that you can calm yourself. And Kyle was like, just connect. Don't be alone. That is good stuff, man. Sorry we didn't get to episode 336, but we were good on that one as well. Listen, we're gonna have a year in review. We got a cool show. Tell your friends, come see us. I hope we're entertaining you a little bit, giving you some information about mental health and substance abuse. It's a really, really important topic these days. I believe that we need to be on top of our emotions and our mental health so that we can be and operate much healthier. All right. So take care, be well. We'll see you next week for the year of 2025 wrap up, I guess, show.